Today I'm going to be helping you understand how to gain distance with your irons, and to do so I'm going to be breaking it down into three separate categories. Number one, swing speed. Number two, your swing delivery characteristics. How do you actually deliver the club into impact? And number three, your equipment, the clubs, the actual irons themselves. How do they link to your swing speed and your delivery to help you optimize ball flight and distance? Swing speed. So this obviously is going to be one of the biggest factors determining how far you can hit your clubs. Now, there are other factors as well, which we're going to go over today and I'm going to demo and show you, but swing speed will always be one of the biggest factors that will limit how far you can hit your irons. Now, if you haven't seen our video, how far should you hit your 7-iron, that's going to be linked below. I highly recommend you go and watch it. We break down different swing speeds and different delivery characteristics and show you, based on those things, how far you should be hitting your 7-iron. And at the end of this video, I'm going to go over one of my very best tips and easiest tips to help you gain a little bit more swing speed. But first, let's touch on the club delivery aspects. Now, I'm going to be touching on things like angle of attack, the loft angle that we deliver at impact, your path, so whether we're swinging in to out or out to in, and then the face angle in relationship to that path and how much that really can affect your ball flight and your distance. First, I want to touch on angle of attack because this is a massive grey area, and actually this can really hurt people at a slower swing speed. So you really need to understand the idea of angle of attack and how it links to the loft you're delivering at impact, because it can make a big difference to ball flight and distance. Now, the narrative is always hit down, hit down, hit down, compress, 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 forward shaft lean, forward shaft lean. Now, I see this catch a lot of people out at mid to lower swing speeds who watch YouTube videos and they just go to the range and they do it and they do it and they do it and they wonder why their ball flight's coming out very low and all of a sudden they've lost lots of carry yardage. So I'll show you a quick example here at a slightly slower swing speed and why that actually could be hurting you. Okay, that was really nice. Perfect swing speed, perfect strike. That's actually a really good example as to why at a certain point you start to hit down a little bit too much, you start to take off a little bit too much loft, it's actually going to be hurting carry and ball flight. So in that bottom left corner, we can see the peak height there was 50 feet and we had a descent angle of 37 and a carry of 125 yards. So we can see there a really nice middled strike, but the big factors on this screen are going to be the angle of attack and the loft that we delivered at impact. Now I'm hitting my T100 iron, so this is a 7-iron, 34 degrees of static loft. You can see we delivered there 24.6 degrees of loft, so it's not far off de-lofting this club by 10 degrees. An angle of attack at impact, 6.3 degrees down. Now that created a launch angle of 17 degrees, which is PGA Tour average launch for a 7-iron, which sounds good, right? And a backspin rate of 5,200. Now, at slower speeds, you generate less friction, less spin, but you also generate less velocity, less ball speed. So the reason why it's a bad thing launching at 17 degrees at this swing speed is lack of velocity. PGA Tour player hits it launching at 17, it's going to climb and climb and climb and climb and climb and climb and reach a very good peak height, as we just saw at this swing speed that only reached a peak height of 50 feet. Now, at some point, you're going to get to a point of diminishing returns if the ball flight's flying too low, actually hinders carry. It's why a lot of people at slower swing speed don't get the correct gap in their longer irons because they don't get enough height to get the carry. So at some point, hitting down, fine, theoretically good, taking off loft, fine, theoretically good. At slow and mid speed, you will get to a point of diminishing returns. So let's see what happens if I swing at exactly the same speed, 70 mile an hour. And remember, that was a really good strike taking off loft. So a very efficient delivery, technically speaking. What's going to happen if I deliver it with less downward blow and delivering more loft? Please come to join the party. Hello, you. Hello, how you doing? You get lonely in your room. I'd love to have you out here, but you do this and I can't swing the club. Literally, she just sits on the mat. That felt good. That felt good. So strike pretty much exactly the same as the one we just hit. Speed, 70 mile an hour again. Even the efficiency there, pretty much identical. Now, big things there that have changed. Angle of attack. We've gone from just over 6 degrees down to a little bit under 2 degrees down. So a big difference there. And the loft at impact goes up to about 27.5. So around 3-ish degrees more, which again, doesn't sound loads, but is quite a big difference. But all of those factors combined, the loft and the angle of attack, created the launch up now to 20.5. So at the same swing speed with virtually the same efficiency, gaining that little bit of launch actually gained us 5 yards of carry, which I know is not loads, but it's still half a club. The biggest thing is there, we're actually getting a more functional ball flight, because remember that one a second ago only peaked at 50 feet, too low. This one, the peak height came up to, I think it was 64 feet. So more height means more descent, means a little bit more control coming into greens, and we got 5 yards more carry. So my point remains, at a mid to slower swing speed, don't always get bogged down in I have to hit down, have to hit down, have to hit down, because yes, we do want to be hitting down slightly, and I would say at this swing speed, probably around 2 degrees is a nice place to be, because we do want the low point to be a bit after the ball. The low points before the ball, obviously fats, thins, etc., not good. So we do want it to be a little bit after the ball. We do want to be taking off a little bit of loft, because that's how irons are designed to be hit, but not to a point of it's actually hurting your distance and hurting your ball flight. So if you do not know where you're at or where you should be, go get a lesson, come see us, and we can actually make sure you're getting these numbers in the right spot. Now let's touch on path and face angle in relationship to path. Now again, this is going to tie into the equipment that we'll talk about later, but what's going to happen with polar opposite deliveries. So I'm going to swing one massively in to out, one massively out to in, and let's see what the numbers say. That felt pretty good. If anything, maybe a hair toe side, but not terrible at all. Peak height, we're back down to 50 feet, and descent angle now actually slightly lower than earlier at 36. Slightly toey, but look at that efficiency up to 137. Now, someone who typically swings a lot from the inside, there's going to be a few things that go along with that. A lot from the inside, generally a much sweepier angle of attack. Like they're not going to hit as much down. It's almost hard to hit down a lot from the inside. It's almost like you're going to be a lot sweepier, so that angle of attack is going to shallow out. So they're 2.9 down. But one thing that it does mean, if you want to hit functional shots with a path that's going massively out to the right, the face needs to be closing or closed to the path to get that ball to come back. Otherwise, you're just going to hit straight blocks. Now, what happens when we close the face? If we close the face, even without any forward shaft lean, if we close the face, it takes off loft. If we open the face, it sort of adds loft. Open face, add loft. Closed face, no loft. So even though we weren't hitting down loads, we delivered 23 degrees of loft at impact. That's not a lot at all, which brings that launch back down to 17. Backspin really low at 4,200. And actually what this ends up doing for a slow swing speed player who doesn't have the speed to get the ball up in the air anyway, is to create very hot, low spin ball flights that kind of almost look like they're diving out of the sky, which again, at this speed, well, at any speed generally, it's not great. So now let's take a look and see what happens if I reverse my path and come a lot out to in. That felt pretty good. And I'm going to show you that one. It was a fraction faster swing speed, just a tiny bit, but it's a really good example because the strike was really good, absolutely out of the middle, and it ended up dead straight. So a great strike right out of the middle, and like I said, the swing speed there at 72, fractionally faster than we have been swinging at 70, but look at that carry, 116. So we've dropped from in and around that 125 to 130 region where we've been all day, now dropping down to 116. Efficiency drops down dramatically. The reason for that is loft at impact. So exactly the same as if I'm swinging massively inside with a closed face, that's going to take off dramatic amounts of loft, as we saw. Now, my path there was 7.6 degrees out to in. So in order to hit that functional little fade, finishing on my target line, which it did there, 0.3 yards offline, my face has to be open relative to the path. Coming across it with an open face, we see a high launch, very high spin, fade shot, therefore losing a lot of distance. So when I was coming from in to out, I delivered about 23 degrees of loft. Now coming out to in, that loft goes up to 35 degrees. So again, gets that launch up to 24, backspin up to 6-7, drops efficiency dramatically. And although obviously a better ball flight, it's going higher, it's landing softer, we lose a full club, maybe even a little bit more because of those delivery dynamics. That leads me perfectly into the club section and how getting the right club for your delivery dynamics will help optimize your distance. So that one there we know way too much launch, way too much spin, not enough efficiency, too much loft at impact. So if I put down my T100, which is a very traditionally lofted 34-degree 7-iron, and I pick up a TaylorMade P790, also been tweaked 2 degrees stronger, so typically off the rack 30.5 degrees, 2 degrees stronger, now playing 28.5. Let's see how this compares with that same speed and delivery. That felt a little bit better. Yeah, so again, it was fractionally faster, and I mean like 0.6 of a mile an hour. So I'm going to take that because otherwise I am going to be here all night. Again, this is a really good demonstration. Still actually great peak height and great land angle there at 72 feet in the air and 44.7 descent angle. That's pretty good. So a little faster, but less than a mile an hour. So it proves my point, right? That with a very similar delivery, still 7 across it, face 4 degrees open, finishing 2 yards offline, so a nice straight shot. But because we gave ourselves a much stronger statically lofted iron, the loft at impact goes from 35 with my T100 a second ago down to 29, which is almost the difference in static loft between these irons. So exactly what we'd expect to see. But for this player, getting that loft in this window is a lot better, gets the efficiency up, brings the launch and spin down a smidge, but actually into a nice window. And therefore all of those things get carry back up to where we were earlier with my sort of normal swing with a T100. So again, you can kind of really see how the delivery characteristics link to the club to get a very similar end result based on how you deliver it, which is going to be giving you the right clubs to match your delivery to get you a good ball flight, the right amount of launch, the right amount of spin, and the right amount of distance for how you deliver the clubs. It's how someone can be playing a set of very strong P790s and a very traditionally lofted T100 and actually get the same end result because they just deliver the club completely differently. And this applies exactly the same as earlier when I was just manipulating my loft at impact by effectively trying to either throw the club earlier to add loft or just almost feel like I maintain the angles and get on that left side a little bit longer to change the amount of loft I was delivering at impact. It's exactly the same thing. We would change the static loft of the club in order to match how you deliver the club at any specific speed. Now, at a faster swing speed, this becomes much less of a problem because with speed comes velocity. With velocity comes height at almost with any club, really. So I can hit any 7-iron. It doesn't matter if it's 26 degrees in loft 7-iron or a 35-degree 7-iron. Like all of them are going to go high enough. So it's more at this mid to lower swing speed that you have to be really careful about getting this bit right to match your delivery to make sure you're maintaining a good peak height, good descent angle, and maximum carry distance. Now, if we're talking gaining distance, sure, optimizing your delivery characteristics will absolutely help. Optimizing your equipment to match those delivery characteristics will absolutely help. But at a certain point, you'll reach that ceiling based on speed. And for a lot of you out there wanting to gain noticeable yards, like really wanting to see a jump, doing all this, absolutely, definitely would recommend it. But there'll come a point where you're maxed out and then there's only one real solution, and that's gaining a little bit of swing speed. So speed, my biggest tip for speed, a lot of you know if you've been watching me for quite a while that I can generate a reasonable amount of speed. If I swing one just kind of naturally without thinking about it too much, felt pretty good. Turned it over a little bit because this club is probably quite a bit too upright for me. That's my excuse anyway. We're going with it. And that swing speed was about 98 mile an hour. Yeah, 97.9 mile an hour with a 7-iron, which I'm probably normally around like mid 90s, maybe creeping up to high 90s if I'm having a quick day. And I'm 5'10" and I weigh, I don't know what in kilos or pounds, but 10 stone 3. I don't know what that is in kilos or pounds. I've actually been trying to put on a lot of weight. I'm eating about 3,500 calories a day, which is nearly killing me. And I still can't put on weight, but it's besides the point. So to generate speed, one of the biggest things that I see people do wrong is trying to generate speed in the wrong place, creating too much tension, losing all timing, losing all rhythm, losing all angles. And what I mean by that is trying to generate speed from the top, and that generally throws the club out that way and loses angles, it loses wrist angles, it's too tense, it's too tight, and then from there, you've either got to stand up, you just cannot generate that speed going through impact. So what I get people doing is what I kind of call the Mr. Miyagi drill. Don't know why, but it's just flow, it's rhythm. As I go back, I'm almost going to allow the club to almost sit behind my hand. Not that I'm going to try and create these angles, but if you're naturally more fluid, I'm just going to allow the club to sit behind my hands as we go through. Now that does loads of good stuff. Again, it creates the angles coming through impact, and it allows us to unload and generate the power through to the target. So if I was just to hit a very easy one, again going back, and then as I start to move through that flow, I'm just going to let that club sit behind me, which creates this angle naturally without me really trying to pull on the club or load the club. I'm just letting it sit. And then as we come through impact, I'm going to generate force and speed out towards the target. So there's a little flicky one. It's let it sit, generate speed into the ball, post ball, and almost trying to create that speed moving out towards the target. The earlier we're going to try and create speed, the more you're going to end up throwing the club out and losing angles and not being able to generate speed through impact. So being nice and loose, nice and relaxed, nice and fluid, and just starting by doing that. You can even take a little step. I love the fluid motion of back, through. And again, as we're moving through, we're letting that club just sit, and speed through impact out towards the target. People say to me, how do I generate that speed for someone who is not too big, is not too strong? It is that fluid motion. It's 100% fluidity. Like if I was just to hit this ball like a piece of absolute jelly, just go back and through. Again, I thinned it. That was 99 swing speed. That is even quicker. And yeah, I was trying to swing reasonably fast, but it was just fluid momentum and trying to generate that whoosh almost at the ball, through the ball, generating down the target line. So being fluid, being relaxed, allowing the club to sit behind you until a position where you can generate that speed. We can't go at it. The hands are up here. You're going to lose angles. You can't get to the ball from there. Whereas if as I'm moving, the club sits behind me and I get here, now I can go. Now I can generate that speed. Now I can unleash down that target line. And I think a lot of people, if they tried that fluid motion, step back, step through, leave the club, throw down the target line, even if you do swing slow, I genuinely believe almost everyone can gain speed. Thank you as always for watching. Please let me know what you thought of this video. Again, something a little bit different. If you want me to do follow-ups, in the comments below, let me know what you want to see. Please do subscribe. We're trying to get to 50,000 subscribers. I mean, my goal was 75 by the end of the year, but we've been kind of tanking recently. The views have been not very good. The subscribers have been not very good. So if you do enjoy the channel and the content, we put a lot of work into it, as you can see. Please do subscribe. It really does mean a lot, and it really will help us grow and be able to bring you more content. So yeah, thank you so much for that. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned. I'll see you in the next one.